All right, you've just gone on your interview, now what? So you've gotten to the point where you got that interview. You went there, you crushed it, hopefully. So what do you do after the interview? Well, there's a few steps that every student should take, and then there's a few things that the school will do after the interview that we want to go over today. The first thing that you should absolutely do after your interview is write thank you notes to your interviewers. It is actually important. It is nice as an interviewer to get a thank you note, even if it's quick. You want to make sure to put in this note something that hopefully makes the interviewer remember you. So a small little thing that you talked about, something that you guys both found funny, would be great to add in. For example, let's say you talked with your interviewer about sports for whatever reason, and you were a fan of the New York Mets, and your interviewer was as well. That kind of stuff should absolutely go in the thank you letter. It can be a thank you note that says, "Dear Dr. So-and-so, thank you so much for taking the time to interview me today. I really appreciated getting to know everybody at School X. I actually really loved that a fellow Mets fan could find himself in Pittsburgh," making up towns here and making up cities and schools. It would be great for us to, it would be awesome if I could attend this school. I would really love to be a part of it. Or I really found this or that really interesting from my interview day. I would really truly love to be a part of the community at University of X. Those kind of things could go in. So thank you notes are important. And remember to add what I would call tidbits if you can, right? Little tidbits of information from the interview for that interviewer to spark for the interviewer to remember who you were. These should be sent in 24 to 48 hours post-interview. So on your airplane ride home, write these emails, send them out. You don't want to wait a week to send them out. That looks bad. Email, in reality, is probably the best way to do it at this point. Unfortunately, snail mail is a thing really of the past for most people, although I will say a good handwritten card, a good handwritten note can go a long way. The reality is with hospital mail systems, that by the time you mail it to by the time they actually get that handwritten note, it's probably a couple of weeks at best. So if you want to do that, that's fine, but I would still send them an email thank you right after, just for them to stay fresh in your mind. The other thing is keep the lines of communication open. What I mean by that is if for whatever reason the interviewer emails you back, it would be great to actually continue a conversation with them if appropriate. Obviously, if they just say, "Great meeting you, thanks for coming," the conversation's kind of over at that point. But if they engage you a little bit, make sure to engage back. This is also a time when, if you're waitlisted, you can go back to that email and shoot an email to that person that you had a great interview at. "Hey, Dr. So-and-so, thank you again so much for interviewing me. As you may have heard, I was placed on the wait list. I just wanted to reiterate how awesome my interview day was, how much I would love to come to the school." Those things can go a big way. So thank you notes are extremely important. I've linked to a couple of examples below to give you a little bit more idea of what to write. Now, after your interview, the school can do a couple of things, right? They can accept you, which can happen within a couple of days to many months after. Remember, some schools have rolling admissions where they kind of make decisions right away. Other schools have non-rolling decisions where they don't make decisions until everybody is gathered together in a room and everybody's had a chance to interview, maybe until February or March. So you can be waitlisted, accepted, or rejected. So if you are accepted, that's obviously awesome. If you get accepted, life's good. What happens if you're waitlisted or rejected? What are you going to do at that point? So if you're rejected, A lot of people ask me, can I write appeal letters? Can something happen? And the reality is, once you get rejected, it's not really all that easy to get in back onto the wait list or anything like that. Chances are probably done. You probably didn't have a great interview. Move on, think about the next school. What if you get waitlisted though? And that's obviously a very common outcome of an interview. Getting waitlisted is exceedingly common because schools may defer your decision until later. They may already have a full class and are waiting for decisions of other people if they're going to accept the seat or not. And that's where a couple of these other letter types come into play, or potentially come into play. So letters of interest versus letters of intent. So a letter of interest is a letter to a school, the admissions committee, talking about how much you like the school, how much you would like to go there, whereas a letter of intent says, I will come to your school if I am accepted. This is not binding in a legal sense, but for some things in like a moral sense, it is binding. If you tell a school, hey listen, you're my absolute top choice, and then they accept you off a wait list and then you end up not going there, it doesn't look great on you. Most people will write letters of interest, and that's fine as long as your interest is genuine and the letter conveys that genuine interest. So if you can tell a school, listen, I really loved your school, I would absolutely love to come here if I was accepted, that works very well. Now, you can write these letters even before the decision is made if you're really intent on a particular school. In fact, you can write the letter of intent if you're really intent on a particular school. So let's say you have decided that UMass is your #1 choice no matter what because you're a Massachusetts resident, you really want to go there. Absolutely, write the admissions committee a letter of intent. Go back to the thank you notes for a second. How do you write thank you notes for MMI interviews? Well, the reality is that you might have had 6 or 7 interviewers on the day. You're not going to have all their contact info. You could write a generic thank you note combined with a letter of interest, essentially, to the admissions committee. Thank you so much for everybody for taking the time to interview me. I really love the school. Here are the reasons why I would love to come here. Right? So you could be creative. Don't have to pin yourself in any one of these different categories. Another question I get often is, okay, should my email include it as a PDF, a Word doc? Should it just be in the email? Which of these is best? My usual statement is just write it in the email. You don't have to attach a PDF, you don't have to, attach a Word doc. Just writing it in the email is typically enough. Now, when you write a letter of intent, remember, it's not binding to a particular school. You don't absolutely have to go there if they accept you, but it's good practice too. Because let's say you end up applying to their residency program later on and they remember, or they put a note that, hey, listen, this person ended up not coming here. Is it always going to hurt you? No, most of those things won't even make it to a residency admissions committee. It's probably okay, but the reality is medicine is still a relatively small community, so you want to be as honest as possible. You want to save this really for your top choice school, whereas a letter of interest can certainly be sent to a whole bunch of different schools that you're truly interested in going to. Now, what else can you do if you're on the wait list? Well, we have a lot of different wait list strategies, and we'll talk about that in another video in terms of how to really maximize your chances once you're on a wait list and the different things you can do. But here, again, are a couple of ideas for post-interview communications, the kinds of things that you want to be sending schools once you're done with that interview, so that they remember who you are, so that they can hopefully the interviewer can put in a really good word when they sit in the admissions committee office and say, listen, so-and-so was an awesome interviewer, he wrote me a great thank you letter, he was clearly really interested in the school. A lot of this is also subconscious. While they may not bring up your thank you letter, or it may not be placed in the file, which, just as an aside, a lot of places do place thank you letters directly in your admissions file. While it may not be placed directly in your file at some places, at least the interviewer remembers who you are, or has had that communication, or maybe remembers something because you jogged their memory in that email, and it jogs a positive memory, so hopefully they accept you. So these are some of the things that you can do with post-interview communication. Thank you notes are a must. Letters of interest are really helpful. Letters of intent for the school that you really want to go to. There's a podcast also linked below that I would encourage you to listen to, which gives you some more information on these letters post-interview.